So if you either been living under a rock or just haven't been really paying attention recently on the internet, you may have not known there was a Nintendo Switch 2 Direct. Pretty much showcasing all what the Nintendo Switch 2 will have, and including some upcoming titles for that console. And the talk about it has been very mixed, mostly negative, and that is what I'm going to be talking about today. So this video is pretty much going to be kind of unscripted because I was actually working on something else, but I felt like I needed to talk about this really. So there's definitely one major thing that I assume that most of you who are aware about the Nintendo Switch, why a lot of people are giving the console a bit more flack. And while I can immediately talk it right now, I'm just going to save that towards the somewhat more end, since that's going to be way more me ranting. And I feel like there's some other things to maybe talk about that maybe aren't a huge issue, but it's just a little maybe nitpicks for me personally about the console, why I just probably won't be getting it anytime soon. So let's talk about the Switch 2. So obviously, since it's a sequel console, it's going to be better performance. It's up to 120 FPS. It has 256 gigabytes of storage, which is extremely large compared to the Nintendo Switch that we have now. And it's overall a console just meant to be a better version of the original, which all sounds good on paper. I really am happy about that. The price of the console is where I kind of differ a little bit. Before I even watched the Nintendo Direct, I already saw on social media how expensive the console is. So in here in the US, the console is $450, which I personally think that maybe the console should be more closer to $400. Which I don't know about you, but $450 for one console just feels really pricey. And you could argue that the PS4 was more expensive and whatnot, but overall that is a way more powerful console than Nintendo Switch. I also want to mention, which isn't 100% a problem with the console of the Nintendo Switch 2. It's a nitpick I also have with the other consoles, the fact that they did add where you can actually chat with people, create parties and whatnot, which is nice, but it's always so annoying to me the fact that in order to access this feature, you have to pay for an online subscription, which that never made sense to me, to be honest. I just always use Discord, or even back then I just used Skype as my main way to communicate with people, since it just didn't really make sense to just put some extra money just to talk to people when I already had stuff that I can talk to people with. So this isn't really necessarily the Switch 2's problem, but it's still a nitpick, and I wish that it wasn't only exclusive if you have a paid online membership. But those are just the two main little issues I have with the console. But overall, I was definitely really excited about the Nintendo Switch 2, since while I still love my Switch, sometimes I just don't want to play it, because if I play a game like Pokemon Scarlet and Violet and go to a certain amount of areas, the performance is horrendous. It's just awful. And I also at one point tried Mortal Kombat 1 on the Switch. It's ugly to say at the least. But my main problem about the Nintendo Switch 2 is game prices. That is that games will be either between $70 to $90, which is crazy. I already have somewhat of an issue with some games that are in the $70 price tag. For instance, Mortal Kombat 1, a game I just mentioned earlier, but to me personally, for a game like that and you put the $70 price tag, it just didn't feel like it's worth it. So I already have a problem with that. But a game up to $90 is insane. But what's also a bigger issue with that is how much it just does not make sense. So how it's going to work is first party Nintendo games such as Mario Kart World Tour or the new Donkey Kong game, I can't remember the top of my head what it's called, are going to be $70 and $80. or $80 and $70. I pretty much showed pictures of how much they cost right now, so it does sound too confusing. And that's a lot, a lot. And the reason why I haven't mentioned one of them being $90 is because those prices are the digital download. If you want to get the physical copy of the game, it can cost you up to $80 to $90. And it's not even a cartridge. Pretty much it's just an access key to the game to download. You still have to download the game, but you just are spending the extra $10 just for the luxury, pretty much, to put the cartridge into the console and download it. I don't know what they were thinking, honestly. Games that are $70 are already touchy subjects because some people really do not like the fact that some games are $70 or don't even think they're worth the price, and that's definitely up for debate. But a game up to $90 is crazy. You should not be spending that much money on a base game. And the thing is, these games are most likely going to have DLC. That's just crazy to think that you may just spend the $90, which, first of all, if you are spending that much money for one game, I don't know, I probably wouldn't trust you loaning $5 because I feel like you would just easily get scammed. Because that's just kind of what it is. It's a scam. Because why would you even do it? And that's not even talking about games that are going to get Nintendo Switch 2 editions. Now, I have seen confirmed information, or that maybe I'm looking in the wrong areas, but I've heard some people are saying that the re-releases of Nintendo Switch edition of games will have a reduced price to them if you already have owned it, which I don't know if that's true or not. I've been just hearing that. I mean, if it's true or not, let me know down in the comments below, because it will always be appreciated, since there's a chance I could be getting some of this information wrong, since I'm doing this really unscripted and voicing my opinion right now. But even if the games are discounted, something like $30, I feel like, just for performance better is already overpriced. I don't know why it can't just be game. I don't know why you can't just play the game you already own and already perform well, because I thought that's what the whole idea of Nintendo Switch 2 was, to enhance and better perform games that the first Switch could not. But oh well, I guess. What also doesn't help with this whole greediness, I will pretty much say, is that this is definitely not gonna be the last time we're gonna see a game that's going to be $80 to $90. Nintendo is one of the top dog companies, so if they're gonna start doing it and easily get away with it, others will soon follow. The whole silly idea that Grand Theft Auto 6 will be $100, it's kind of looking like it's more of a possibility, and that's what's scary. Games should not be that expensive, especially some that are going to throw a bunch of DLC in where you have to pay for, is crazy. And I just am very worried where this could potentially lead down the line with the gaming industry, where there will be a bunch of these more AAA or quadruple A titles, and they're putting so much time and they're going to be so expensive, and nobody's going to want to play them because some people just don't want to spend that much on a single game, and then that's going to affect, unfortunately, the people working behind the game. Last year alone was a pretty bad time for game developers. We have seen so many games like Concord and Multiverses, which, I mean, technically it's this year, but that game was slowly already dying to begin with, and that those talented teams are going down because, well, the higher ups are greedy. And Multiverses, yes, it's a free-to-play game, but man, that game can also be pretty pricey if you want to have everything. And what also doesn't help is Nintendo themselves is so stingy with prices. You can probably get Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, a game that has been out for I don't even know how long. Definitely like 6 or even 7 years at most, I believe. I'm throwing it up top of my head. And you can still pay nearly full price for them. Even if you go to like your local game store or GameStop, there's a good chance those games are still being sold at the same price as they were a couple years ago. And that's not too surprising because they just never reduce prices and stuff like that. So no matter what, you're gonna be paying $80 to $90, which, like I said, I sincerely hope no one buys the $90 physical copy in quotation marks of a game, since that's just a scam. It's a 100% a scam. So, what am I here to fully say? Well, for me at least, I am not gonna be getting the Nintendo Switch 2 anytime soon. I may wait until they do like a little bundle thing like they're doing with the Mario Kart game, where instead of paying for like 530 to get the Switch 2 and Mario Kart, you can pay 500 to get them all together. I might do that if they do a Legend ZA bundle. I might, I don't know. But as for now, I'm definitely not going to be getting this console anytime soon. I just don't see myself willing to spend that much money, especially on one game right then and there. But that's me. I'm not saying you shouldn't. If you do so, go right ahead. I'm not stopping you, nor I really can't, to be honest. So that's all for today's video. Hope you enjoy. Let me know down in the comments what's your opinion about the Switch 2. Peace out and have a good one.